The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys, I had the worst day. It got better. But if I seem a little aggressive...
But you did just have Burger King, so you shouldn't be that aggressive.
Don't tell people that.
We just had Burger King.
I did, and I fucked it up.
We sure did. Hi guys, did you miss us? We missed you. It was kind of like, I feel like this is like weird. Like we haven't done this because we pre-recorded that one so early.
So early, it seems like we really haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, so I was gone. I was in Orlando, and to recap, 2 days before I took off, a woman got sucked out of a fucking airplane window and died.
I told you guys I was psychic. He made it.
I did make it. She ended up actually dying, unfortunately, but they had to land if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it or just listen to our last episode. I would suggest listening to our last episode.
Educate yourself.
But this woman, like, I guess the left engine blew on the airplane. And a piece from the engine pierced the window, which depressurized the entire cabin and sucked a woman halfway out the window. Yeah, so they had to make an emergency landing in Philadelphia on the tarmac, the exact one that I took off on. So I was fine. I went with my cousin Mark and his girlfriend Risa and my boyfriend Jason, and it was a lot of fun. We went to Disney World, so that was lit. However, the flight back, are you ready, boys and girls?
He wouldn't even tell me the story, so like this is the first time hearing it.
Yeah, I know. I
just want to thank y'all because now I'm missing out on my friend's stories because he wants to tell me over here.
But technically you get it first because this episode we record like 5 days before they hear it.
That's such positive thinking. I'm so negative.
I know. I feel your aura. It's negative. I smell your aura too, and you need to wash that tuna sandwich going on down there. Anyway, so the plane there is fine. Like everything's great. Everything's Gucci. I'm like, something's going to happen on the way back. And boy, was she right. Was she right? Okay, so here we are. First, also, let me just tell you, when in Orlando, we did the drinking around the world in Epcot. So you go to 11 different countries. You get one drink at every country. Your girl was fucked up by the time I got to Japan.
I know Jonathan is drunk when he texts me and says, I miss you.
Because I don't.
Right. He gets really nice when he's drunk.
I also get quiet. When I stop talking, that's when you know I'm like...
fucked up.
Yeah.
No, you get the face.
Yeah. Well, that's like when I'm like a step beyond.
I'm like too much.
Yeah. Like once I'm at the limit, it's just like I sit there and I feel like a sponge.
Oh my God. The face. It's the face. I'm always like,
there he
okay?
is. Anyway. Also, I was looking for Mickey, didn't see Mickey, saw 2 Donald Ducks and an Alice in Wonderland.
And his sister, Minnie.
I was pissed. Yeah, my boyfriend thought that Mickey and Minnie were brother and sister. We are all over the place. I'm just full of exciting information to tell you guys. And it also didn't help that I did have an extra shot of espresso about 2 hours ago. And now I'm drinking a cup of coffee.
So, like, welcome to Esoteric Oddities.
Strap on.
1010 would recommend.
Keep your lesbian agenda over there.
Why?
Because I don't want it. So, okay, the plane ride back. So Jason and I bought our plane tickets together. So him and I were seated together. Risa and Mark were not. They had 2 separate seats. So a thing about my cousin Mark, love him so much, he gets a little anxious on airplanes, which is totally fine. A lot of people get anxious on airplanes. It's like you're out of control of it. Like, why the fuck are you on this giant thing that weighs millions of tons? I'm saying as you're like about to get on a plane next week.
Yeah, thanks.
How the frick does it work? Like, I get physics, but also, like, how does that work? And, like, why are we so confident in it? Anyway, and if you're listening to this on an airplane, I'm so sorry. Just fast forward like a minute or two. Like, we'll be fine. So he gets a little freaked out. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm fine sitting by myself. I've flown by myself before. Like, I can take a seat by myself. Jason doesn't give a fuck. So I was like, you guys can take our seats, sit together, whatever. And then Mark was like, okay, well, why don't you just sit next to me? So me and him end up sitting next to each other. So the plane loads on and like everybody's getting through, and Mark has the aisle seat and I have the middle seat, and the window seat, bitch, was empty. and everybody got on the plane and there was nobody else on. And
no
I was
one
like,
on a window seat?
and I
That's
was like,
crazy.
so
Everyone
Mark
loves
was-
the window seat.
well, Mark goes, oh, like, do you think like we have this whole row? And I was like, no, there has to be somebody. So we're looking and like nobody else is getting on the plane. And I'm like, oh shit, I guess we have like this whole thing. Like, cool, let's kick it. So then Mark feels a tap on his shoulder, and it's a tall man in a business suit, and he says, this is my seat. And Mark goes to get up to let him in, and he goes, no, you're sitting in my seat. So Mark's like, oh, okay. So he moves over. So now I'm in the window seat. Mark's in the middle, and this man we don't know is on the end seat. If you're anxious on a plane, the middle seat's not really the place you want to be. It's either you're a window bitch and you want to be in the window, or you want to be in the aisle where you can't see anything that's going down. So unfortunately, Mark ends up in the middle.
Why didn't you switch with him?
Because the flight attendants were like, everybody take a seat.
Oh,
and
shit.
if you're a tall person on a fucking plane and you're in the window seat, if you stand up, it's like game over.
It's
you can't
done.
You can't stand up. It's like I have to hunch. Like it's really uncomfortable. What's flying economy? Just kidding. Must be nice. So we're about to take off, and I can tell that Mark like doesn't want to talk to this guy because he's just like, all right, like let's just fucking do this. Well, this guy's like yapping, and we're not only are we.
Why are you okay, sir? Why are you speaking to me? I don't know you.
Also, the universal sign of don't fucking talk to me is when you have earphones. And Mark had both his earphones. I had both my earphones. So we take off. It's fine. It was a night flight too. So
You caught that red eye? I have
no.
flights.
It was not a red eye. It took off at 7 and we landed at like 11 or something. So it wasn't a red eye. And you're taking a red eye?
Both times.
God bless America.
My flight there is at 10, and then my flight home is at 12 a.m.
Happy birthday to ya. Your birthday is coming up. In like
August.
4 months.
And I'll be 26. Ew.
Anyway, back to my story.
Well,
The attention
I guess
was
I'm not
off of
important.
the attention was off of me for far too fucking long.
I see that.
Let's direct your attention back.
Get well soon, sweetie.
Jealousy's a disease, bitch.
Get well soon, sweetie. You attention-seeking bitch.
That's me. That's what they call me. So we're up in the air, and this dude starts talking to Mark, and he's showing him pictures. And out of the corner of my eye, I see he's showing him pictures of a woman. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. So Mark taps me on the shoulder. The guy wants to show me the picture of the woman who's wearing like a very low neck plummeting line. Like I can almost see her nipples. And just
This
letting
is
you
a
know.
nightmare.
And it's also at night, so it's like a little bit, I mean, the lights are on in the cabin, but like it's darker outside, so everything that's being shown on a phone
like-
at like 100% brightness, everybody can just see. Anyway, so he shows Mark that this woman, and he's just like, yeah, I'm married, but I got a girl in every city. This is my reason to come to Philly. And he zooms into her tits, and he's just like, actually, it's my 2 reasons. And then he starts scrolling up to her crotch, and he goes, I guess that's 3 reasons, and zooms in. This man is 50 years old. He informed us he was 50 years old. Now, if you're 50 years old and you're still getting that pootie tang, good for you.
Don't brag about it. I don't care what type of pussy you slanging. I don't give a fuck.
Also, don't cheat on your wife, like you dumbass
Oh,
bitch.
shit.
So he was bougie as fuck. This was like this was this man's deal. He was like acting like he was all that shit, and I'm just also like, well, why are you sitting here and why are you talking?
Honestly, I feel like it's people like that. Those are the people who talk on planes.
Oh, he wanted us to know everything about him, and then he starts. Ironically, he's talking to Mark, and I'm like, I'm done with this conversation because I'm going to freak out, and I think Mark started picking up on that a little bit later. So then this guy starts telling Mark that he's from Illinois. And he's from right outside of Chicago, like right on the edge of the city. And Mark goes, oh, so is he. And I was like,
I knew it.
and I just like, I gave him a look and I was like, yeah. And I like didn't want to talk about it. He's
Still
like,
have my headphones in.
yeah, weirdest thing. He's like, oh yeah, I'm from like so-and-so. And I was like, oh, cool. And he gave it like a weird nickname that I never heard of. He's like, you never heard of that? You never heard about the pussies down in Algonquin? And I was like, he was so fucking
I would've been
loud.
like, sir, I like dick. I'm gay. Shut up.
No, he's talking about the people, you dumbass.
Oh. You see where my head goes? You see that?
Keep your lesbian agenda over there.
No.
Jesus Christ, on a crutch. So he's talking about like all these like people who live in this town called Algonquin that he didn't like, and of course it's like right next to the town where I grew up. And he talks to Mark and he's just like, oh, I think I made him embarrassed. I think I really made him embarrassed. And Mark was like, oh yeah, like probably. So midway through the flight, This guy shuts up for about 15 minutes at a time, so we're lucky to catch a break.
Oh, look at that. How lucky.
They're playing Law and Order on the TV. We did get TV, so we were kind of lucky that we could pretend we were watching something. But every time a woman came on screen, he perked his little head up and he was looking at her ass. Anytime a flight attendant or somebody on the plane would get up, this old 50-year-old man was like legitimately not even caring that he was just staring at this woman's ass, totally objectifying them. Then
That's disgusting.
Then it's time for us to get the drinks. And he goes, I'm going to buy you guys some drinks.
Ooh, okay.
And yeah, so I'm like, okay, hey, what's
You're
up?
my friend now.
Yeah,
Hey,
what's up,
sir.
sugar daddy?
What
So-
about those pussies in Chicago?
Yeah. And he buys us a drink, and then he tells the flight attendant that he's our uncle. Yeah, he's like, they call me Uncle Tommy. And I was like, oh, okay, now this is getting fucking weird. So then he asks the flight attendant how much money she makes.
No. He's probably like, I can
Oh, babe.
give you more than that.
So he orders the drinks on his company card, which I don't give a fuck about. It's tax deductible, probably somewhere along the line, right? So then he asks her how much she makes. She tells him that it's not salary based, or at least her position wasn't. I don't know how it works, but she says it's not salary based, it's hourly, and it depends on what flights you take, and it depends on your schedule. Like, I don't really know. But he goes, oh, well, let me just tell you that tonight I'm going to go to a bar and I'm going to spend your entire paycheck.
That is so degrading. Oh my fucking God.
And this woman was nothing but sweet. And I was like, I half of me didn't want to take his drink. Another half of me wanted to order 7 more drinks on his card.
Did you do that?
No, but I did drink the drink.
Traitor.
But it tasted bitter and corporate and cold. But I love a cold
Welcome
beverage.
to my life.
So
Monday through Friday.
I was like, what the fuck? So that was like when I was done talking to this man. I was like, you know, that's like, you're a dick for that.
I
know?
draw the line there.
So then the plane lands, and guess what he does? He fucking claps. Please don't. Don't clap when the plane lands. Then not only that, he stands up before anybody else. People are trying to like get up and get their bags. Nope, he's got to be
This is cringeworthy.
first up. He gets his bag, his big ass bag, which is like borderline, you know, he probably just barely, if not like paid off the dude to let him bring it on as a carry-on. Taking up a lot of fucking space. He's standing there. He does this thing like around Mark where he like half massaged his neck and then hit him in the chest from behind. And then he like fist pumped him. And then he went to fist pump me. And I was like,
No, sir.
he's like, yeah, we did it, boys.
Access denied.
We did it. Boy, we fucking sat there while a pilot did the work.
And you degraded multiple women in one sitting.
Listen, I feel like I'm going to throw up after talking about this. Do you know how hard it was for me not to tell you? Because what day was that? When did I come back? Last Monday?
You're so lucky I was not on that flight.
I was about to pop off.
I would have. I would have been like, ma'am.
But then I was thinking, well, what if we didn't trade seats and it was me and Jason? Like, I was curious to think of how differently the situation would go.
Probably the same.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't know. We're recording. I forgot.
Shut up.
Hi, guys.
Hey,
this
welcome.
is Esoteric Oddities. That was my plane back from Disney. And today's episode is... Oh, and then I ran into him in the bathroom.
No.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to
Oh,
say?
wait, hold on. I didn't even finish telling the story. So Risa was sitting back in the corner and she ended up switching seats with a little girl who was putting on a fucking hissy fit because she wanted the window seat. Nobody was taking the window seat. So Risa switched seats with her. We had a crying child in front of us. Risa had a crying child kid like next to her. Jason, who was sitting on the other side of the plane, had a crying child behind him. It was a flight. It was a flight. And there was some turbulence. So like could have been worse, could have been better. But like there was something in me that was just like literally like, God fucking get me through this. Just get me off of this airplane. I cannot stand this fucking man.
I'm having a really hard time processing that whole thing.
Me too, and it was last fucking Monday.
Like,
So today's episode's about karma, and I'm sure that man has his karma coming somewhere along the line.
you think?
Sarah, how many stories do you got in store for us today?
Sarah, I have 2.
All right. I think, yep, I went first last time. So do you want to tell both of them or do you want to tell one? I'll tell my long one and you just do 2 of them. Just do both.
All right, because they're shortish. Okay, so, On July 4th, 2011, a motorcyclist participating in a ride to protest mandatory helmet laws was killed when he was thrown over the handlebars in...
Just say the state.
New York. So Philip A. Contos, 55, of Paris, New York, was on a ride organized by the chapter of American Bikers Aimed Towards Education, which is ABAT. He hit his brakes and began to fishtail and lost control of his 1983 Harley Davidson. He shot over the handlebars, hit his head on the pavement, and he was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. I'm getting to the karma part.
Okay.
Do you want to say something?
No.
Why are you smiling?
Because I love you.
I don't think you do.
I do.
I think that's like a...
It's just for show.
Oh, great. So, police state that evidence at the scene plus information from the medical experts indicate that Contos would have survived had he been wearing a helmet.
You don't need a fucking medical examiner to say that shit. His mom could have said that shit. Protesting a helmet law. Now, what's the issue? Why protest a law that is trying to protect
Save your life.
people? Now, I wonder... Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to go on. Are you done? I'm sorry. No, I'll shut up.
Yeah, it's just like the next is just, there's a quote.
Well, I was just going to ask what the fuck the rest of the group did after that. Like the group of people who were so dedicated to protesting a law, an anti-helmet law, watches one of their guys fly off the handlebars and die because he wasn't wearing a helmet.
So, Thomas Alton of ABAT said, "We are riding at an increased risk and accept that. This individual was a seasoned rider, not a newbie. He made an adult decision, a full decision to ride in the manner he rode in." And then another New Yorker who has been a motorcyclist for over 50 years, Joseph Constantini, says, "I would never ride without a helmet, even in a state that says you don't have to. I understand where the protesters are coming from because ultimately it's a matter of choice. For me, I would wear a helmet no matter what. It must feel great to ride without a helmet because sometimes it's uncomfortable. I'm sure his family isn't going to be happy."
So if you're driving a car and you have to wear a seatbelt, why are you wear a fucking helmet? I remember when I was a kid, I didn't want to wear a helmet because I was like 4 years old. I didn't want to, have somebody on my pegs and look like a nerd. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But like now that the weather is getting nicer, at least here on the East Coast, people are going to take their bikes out. Please, if you're listening to this and you ride a motorcycle or a bicycle of some sort, wear a goddamn fucking helmet. Like I don't care if it's uncomfortable. This is your mother speaking. Wear a fucking helmet.
Well, they say that the motorcycle deaths have doubled since 1990s, with 5,990 in 2008. That's like 2008. It's literally 2018.
Yeah.
It's because they're so unsafe. Like
I think they're safe. Okay. Let me tell a really quick, very short, close to home story that my brother was driving and there was a man. It was near my parents' house, and there was a man coming up really close behind him. And 1 second, my brother was looking in the mirror, and he was there. The next second, the dude wasn't there, and he saw him on like the left side, the man only, flying across the street while other cars were passing. He went my brother's on the right side of the road. He flew into the left side and like into a ditch, and then he hears like a bang. The fucking dude's motorcycle got wedged underneath my brother's car.
ah.
My brother pulled off to the side of the road. The dude was okay. My brother said he was like younger and he was acting like he might have been like a little stoned or like maybe he was just like in shock, but he was like acting a little off. Like he didn't seem like he was full blown on drugs or full blown drunk, but he was just like little not there, which is understandable if that shit just happened. The dude was wearing a helmet, but like that was like a quick accident where the dude just didn't stop in time, where my brother was stopped. He had his turn signal on and this guy just didn't fucking stop.
Well, because I think the issue is it's like it's literally a bike. It's not like a car. Like if you do that and you like, you ding someone, it's like okay.
Yeah, because you got crumple zones and like you're in a little pod.
Right, but it's like with a motorcycle, you're like all out in the open. And I'm just like, please be careful.
Yeah. It's a lot. And like, think about not only how fucked up it is that if that man would have died, but how fucked up also that my brother would then be dealing with that, even though he didn't do anything.
Right. But it just like so happened.
It would have just, it was his car. Like out of anybody else in the world, it was his car that like killed this dude.
Right.
It didn't. He didn't die, but I'm saying.
But if it did.
Yeah. Frickin' fricks.
Wow.
Just wear a helmet.
You
for the love
frickin'
of God.
fricks. That's my favorite video.
But also, a couple years ago, I was assistant directing a film, and we were waiting for an actor in the city of Philadelphia, in Center City, right smack dab in the middle of Center fucking City. So I'm sitting passenger seat. My friend Kevin is sitting in the driver's seat, and this dude who was the producer, a nightmare of a producer, I'll have you know, is sitting in the seat behind me. Now, the dude who was the producer, he was a little bit older. He was like 35. Half the time he seemed to know what he was doing. The other half of the time he left me abandoned with 2 cases of water in the middle of the city on the hottest day of the summer.
I remember you told me about that.
Yeah. The actor pulls up. We're running a little bit behind, and that is not good. So he opens his car door. He's on the right side behind me. We're parked on the left side of the road. It's a one-way road. And a biker was coming that he didn't see. The biker flips over the fucking door, over my fucking door. Two, my door wasn't open. I was still sitting in, but he went like up and over where the mirror is, or it was a woman, wasn't wearing a helmet, smacks the ground and like isn't moving. I have never felt, I don't even know. It was like adrenaline and like scared, and none of us knew what to say or do, or like what the fuck was going on. And then a car behind that almost hit her because they were
going so fast,
driving at a normal speed. It was a
no.
taxi too.
Taxis are
Slams on the
reckless.
brake.
Oh God.
And then this woman is sitting there and her head is bleeding. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. This producer is like, oh my God, I'm having the worst day. Why would this happen to me? And I'm like, oh, I almost just said his name. I was just like, Gerald, shut the fuck up. Like, this woman, we need to make sure she's okay.
Yes,
so
call 911.
I pick up her
Hello?
bike. The fucking actor who was in the car, of course, was like it's so fucking calm. He was just like, hi, how are you? My name is Calvin. Can you tell me your name? Do you know the date? Is there anybody in your phone we can call? We ended up calling her boyfriend. He came. He was like, don't call the cops. We don't have insurance. Like, we're going to be fucked if you call the cops. Because if you didn't know, ambulance rides are très expensive. That's French for very, very. And yeah, I was like, wow, that was really fucking fucked. So, and she wasn't wearing a helmet. Never know what happened to her because I stopped talking to that producer. I was like, hey, dude, don't talk to me ever again.
Don't talk to me ever.
But yeah, she wasn't wearing a helmet. I hope she's okay. I honestly don't. She hit the ground so hard. I think she hit her shoulder first, but it could have been her head first. But I remember watching that shit was like in slow-mo. I was a little shook for the rest of the day. I
would not be able to perform.
I didn't eat after that. I was like, yeah, that was some scary shit. Remember when you opened your car door and the taxi came in?
I sure do.
Do you want to tell that story really quick?
Sure. It was Jason's 21st birthday.
I don't even think so.
Jason's birthday.
Was it? No, it wasn't. Was it Jason's birthday?
It was his birthday. I don't know if it was his 21st. That's why I was rushing home. So I was trying to get out of work so I could get ready. And so I took a cab home and he dropped me off on the opposite side of my house. Now there was clearly a space in front of my house to pull over. But
also, we used to live on, it was a one-way.
It was a
so
one-way.
it was a one-way
super
in
narrow.
North Philly. Yeah.
So he drops me off on the opposite side of my house. You know, I get out on the street side because one, I wasn't thinking. Two,
so you were sitting like behind him.
Yeah, and I asked my friend at the time to go get my cash outside. So he was just running it out to me. So I guess that's why I just saw him and I just
wasn't thinking to look
right. So I go to get out. And a car comes and smacks the door. It almost takes the door off.
It could have literally took your arm off or you.
That too. It could have done that. But more importantly,
Do you hear that? Those are the turtles and I don't know what's happening right now. Hold, please.
Holy shit.
What just happened?
He's like, what the fuck?
What was that? Holy shit. Okay. Duck and Aspen are both okay, but we have no idea. I think the filter turned off, or there were bubbles in the filter, or some shit just happened.
Scary. I feel like that marionette moves every time I come down here.
I was legitimately gonna say that before. There's a lot happening right now.
Please hold.
What the fuck? Why is that? My house is legitimately
That thing
on.
is moving.
Stop.
It's moving. It was really close to the other one. Now they're not as close. And I feel like its head is like literally slightly tilting.
If you guys want to know what these marionettes look like, they're looking at me.
I feel uncomfortable.
I do too, and I have no idea what's going on. Hello?
I'm telling you.
Stop.
It's the big one.
Stop it.
Sir, stop fucking with me. His head is moving.
No, it's not. Sir, can you please knock it off? Imagine if he just started like running at you.
Oh my god, stop. I'm so scared. I'm so glad I don't sleep alone at night because I would be fucked.
I wish this was a video podcast, but legitimately don't know why the turtles tanks are doing that. I don't even know where we just left off. My armpits are like 10 times sweatier now.
Yeah, because I'm fucking scared.
I smell like a goddamn ham sandwich. I'm sorry.
An Italian hoagie.
An Italian hoagie. All right, where were you? All right.
We finished the story. We were talking about the taxi story. So basically what ended up happening was my friend came out and freaked out at the taxi driver. The taxi driver was yelling at me. My friend was yelling at the taxi driver.
The driver in the car wasn't in a rental car?
And then the driver who hit the taxi, they had a rental car, and I think they were high.
They weren't supposed to be driving.
The boyfriend wasn't supposed to be driving. She was, but
she was in the passenger.
Right. So we all made a thing that we would say.
Is this legal?
Probably not. It doesn't matter anyway because she tried to get one over on me and it didn't work.
Karma.
So basically she was like, well, because for some reason I thought that they could that I would get in trouble, but there's no way that I would.
Right.
Because...
And also, while this was happening, I wasn't home. And Sarah's literally Snapchatting me, telling me what's happening. And I'm like, what the fuck's in your hand? Bitch was at the ice cream truck while literally the cops are like behind her, talking to the cab, talking to the other person. And she's just hanging out at Mr. Softy with her fucking soft serve.
My friend offered to get me some ice cream because I was stressed out.
Sarah, you were legitimately Snapchatting me. Cops in the background, you standing at an ice cream truck across the street.
Nothing like an ice cream cone on a hot
sunny day
to do the trick.
Great. So, moral of the story: wear a seatbelt and wear your freaking helmets.
And don't get off on the wrong side of the road.
So, what's your next story?
August 13th. This is the day after my birthday.
Got it.
Ew. 1966, Clue radio station of Longview, Texas, organized a mass burning of Beatles records and merchandise. The station organized this event after a band member, John Lemon meringue, said the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. The rally never happened. Just a day later, on August 14th, lightning struck the Clue's broadcast tower, damaging the station's equipment and knocking the news director unconscious. The damage ultimately forced the station off the air.
That's what you got for fucking with John Lemon meringue.
So the newspaper states Phil Ransom, news director, was knocked unconscious when the lightning struck into the Clue building and was rushed to Good Shepherd Hospital. He was conscious shortly afterward and believed to be in good condition. He was held for observation on Saturday evening. They said that it caused extensive damage to the radio equipment, and...
That's what you fucking get.
Right, you shouldn't have tried to stop the Beatles, man.
I feel like
Jesus loves the Beatles.
Clearly. Do you like the Beatles?
Yes, what?
Oh, it was Gabby. Gabby doesn't like the Beatles. Well, she doesn't dislike them. I think she thinks they're very overrated.
Nah, 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 nah.
That's a copyright.
Nah, nah. Hey, Jonathan. See? No, it's not.
Okay, you're right. If you just change one little wordy birdie, you're good. But that's what he fucking gets.
I'm saying.
We want Beatles.
Apparently, they estimated a crowd over 4,000 people, but it was only about 1,500 of all ages that attended this Beetles
burning.
burning.
That's so bad for the environment.
I'm saying.
Have you ever burned linoleum? Or no, not linoleum.
That's
it's
a
vinyl.
floor.
It's fucking called a vinyl. That's what it's made out of, you fucking dumbass. Talking to myself.
Are you okay?
Dude, I don't know.
That's really loud.
When I went to Florida with Mark the last time, which was like
Look at you. You just living your life.
2012-ish. No, that was the cruise.
Oh, the cruise. Oh, sorry. I must have got them
2014,
confused.
Sorry. So I was so pissed because I just bought like 4 new vinyls. One of them was Amy Winehouse. One of them was Crosby, Stills and Nash. And what the fuck was the other one? Foster the People, I think.
Ooh.
And I left them in my car, and I didn't realize till I was in Florida, and I left them in my car at my parents' house.
They melted.
I came back and that shit was warped AF. So you know what I did? If you guys ever have like a warped or like a really, really fucked up vinyl, what you do is you take you preheat your oven, I think, to like 150 and you're good. And then you take a cup. I used a metal cup and I put it on a cookie sheet and then I put the vinyl on top of it and it like melted a little bit over it. And I took it out of the oven and bitch, I use it as a goddamn chip bowl.
Cute.
Yeah, you just can't wash it. I mean, you can wash it, but the record sticker that's like in the center of it, you know, will come off. So I just line it with a little napkin. I put my tortillas in there. My friends are like, oh, this is a weird bowl. And I'm like, oh, Susan, let me tell you about this. You love Crosby, Stills and Nash? Because you're eating out of them.
That was a cute little DUI. Now back to you, Jonathan.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what to say.
Oh, thank you.
So, Carmel's a bitch.
Carmel will get you.
Is it me? Oh, I've got a treat for you guys. This is the case of Melvin Ignato. So this story takes place in Louisville, Kentucky. It is 1986, and Brenda Schaefer is 34 years old. She is a nurse at a family practice. She had just ended a long-term relationship and moved back in with her parents to help take care of her mother who suffered from lupus. So, in September of 1986, she met a man named Melvin Ignato through a coworker, and he was a 50-year-old divorced father of 3 grown children.
They just better be grown.
Melvin was a buyer for a housewares company and owned a huge house, which he owned with his mother. So the two hit it off. Melvin showered Brenda with gifts, and they became engaged within just 3 months. So to any outsider, their relationship looked perfect, right? Well, Brenda...
Doesn't it always?
She wasn't happy. She befriended her boyfriend's girlfriend. So... No. Her brother... Oh, fuck my asshole. So Brenda befriended her brother's girlfriend, Linda Love, who was basically about to be her sister-in-law. So Brenda told Linda that Melvin had been verbally and sexually abusing her, and she planned on leaving him. So late September 1988, it's 3 a.m., and the now 36-year-old Brenda hadn't returned home from her date with her fiance, Melvin. So her mom knew that, she would not be staying out late, and it was very out of her character to not call. So her mother, her name was Essie. She knew, again, that it was out of character. So she freaked out a little bit and she called Melvin, who said he had not seen Brenda since 11 p.m. when she dropped him off. So Brenda was driving. So Melvin calls the police and he says his fiance had left his house and she never returned home to her parents' house. So neither party had heard from her. And just before dawn, the police found Brenda's car on Interstate 64 empty. And this car was fucked. The windows were smashed, the radio was missing, the speakers were partially torn out. Somebody had attempted to pry open the trunk, and the right rear tire was flat. But what police found most out of ordinary was the location. The car was less than half a mile from her house.
Oh, no.
Meaning, she could have walked home if her car had broken down, leading police to believe that she may have been kidnapped. So Brenda's 5 older siblings and Linda Love gathered at their parents' house to talk to the police. So when Melvin arrived, the atmosphere changed. The family did not like him much.
Right.
Melvin cried, but when he looked up to speak to investigators, there were no tears in his eyes. So Linda spoke privately to an officer, and she told him everything she knew about Brenda and Melvin's abusive relationship. Then the next day, investigators arrived at Melvin's house to question him about Brenda's disappearance. When Melvin was questioned, he attempted to direct the flow of information.
See? Mm-mm.
He had all his notes written down and mapped out on paper, which investigators knew was not typical.
I'm saying.
So according to his very detailed notes, Brenda picked Melvin up from his house around 3 p.m. the day prior to her early morning disappearance. They drove to a boat show, but since it rained, the couple stayed in the car. After that, they went to an art fair, but again, the rain kept them in the car. So police found his down-to-the-minute timeline not typical, and they could not corroborate his story. So investigators thoroughly searched the surrounding area, and the FBI was contacted, just in case she had been kidnapped and was taken across state lines. So then the detectives look into Melvin's background.
Let me clear my throat. God damn. Every cheerleader movie in the early 2000s. For real.
So people described him as being egotistical. He was a con man with a tendency to exaggerate the truth and tell outlandish lies.
Look at that.
He was compulsive. Even if guests at his house did not tear the toilet paper off the roll properly, he would openly complain and embarrass the last toilet user.
Okay, that's literally you when someone doesn't do the waterfall thing.
Okay, listen. If you're fucking putting the goddamn toilet paper on, it should flow over like waterfall. Can we get a poll started? If you put toilet paper on, it should flow over. Why would it go under?
I'm saying.
Somebody does that at work, and it pisses me off.
Someone does that at my house, and it's not me.
What fucking color was the barn you were raised in?
Right. Or they'll put it backwards. I guess that's under.
Yeah, it's under. They're just literally making my poopy time really complicated, and it stresses me out. When is that ever easy? Because then when you go to reach for the paper and it's not there, you gotta let me scoop around like a fucking. Right. I don't want to turn this dial like a fucking locker combination. I'm trying to wipe my asshole and get on with my fucking day.
Say that. Make sure you wash your hands.
Oh. Fucking, you frickin' fricks. Let's get back to the story at hand. After getting information from Linda, investigators spoke to some of Brenda's close co-workers that she confided in. So they found out that back when the couple was dating, Melvin had pressured Brenda into the engagement after just 3 months. She said yes, but she didn't really want to marry him, clearly. So months later, Melvin lost his job and became more focused on sex. Brenda told her coworkers that her fiancé would complain that she did not constantly want to have sex with him. Reminder, when they got engaged, she was 34, he was 50.
Yikes.
At one point, he tried to loosen her up to get her in the mood, playing VHS porn tapes, getting her to smoke weed, and giving her tranquilizers.
Yikes.
Can't spell tranquilizers without tranquil. So Brenda had told Linda that she was asleep one night and she felt someone standing over her. It was Melvin. With a cloth full of chloroform, he put it to her face, covering her mouth and nose, telling her that she had been too uptight lately and needed to relax. Remember that Brenda was in a dead-ass sleep. As relaxed as possible, before going into a coma. And he's like, you look tense.
Relax.
Wake the fuck up so I can put you back to bed. The frick? So Linda urged her to leave him, obviously, but Brenda said she couldn't, and Linda just didn't understand. So Linda told investigators that Brenda had recently reignited a relationship with an ex-boyfriend named Jim Rush. Remember his name, or forget it, because he's literally never going to come up again. And the night she went missing, she planned on returning the engagement ring and leaving Melvin for good. In early October 1988, Brenda's brother went live on television pleading everyone that if they may have the slightest piece of information, even if they think it's nothing, please notify the police or FBI. This is so sad. Brenda's mom, Essie, slept on the couch near the front door every night, hoping that her daughter would walk through the door.
No.
February 1989, 5 months after her disappearance, investigators find themselves at a dead end. Now, they think that, Melvin's a fishy guy, but they have nothing on him.
Right. They can't,
They can't do anything.
Right.
So, police decide to question a woman named Mary Ann Shore, who was one of Melvin's ex-girlfriends, and they did briefly question her at the beginning of their investigation earlier in September. Police recalled that when they did question her at the time, she was very nervous, and she gave short-term yes and no answers without explanations. So they called Mary Ann to come to police headquarters for a polygraph test. After being questioned again, she failed the test.
Ooh.
She refused to speak more, but made a private phone call. Though they couldn't legally determine who she called, investigators had a pretty good guess as to who was on the other line. Who do you think it
Melvin.
was? Ooh. So without her...
Mary Ann Shore was not so sure now.
Oh, bitch. Someone get this girl on Comedy Central. The roast. She needs to be on it. Frick. So without her knowing, they put her under surveillance, and later that night, Shore as Mary Ann Shore.
See?
She met up with Melvin Ignato.
See?
So police bring her back to the station the next day and arrest her for the only thing they could, which were warrants she had out, were warrants they had out for her writing bad checks.
They could get you for anything.
Well, not really, but that's like they needed something.
Right.
So it is now March 1989. Still no solid evidence. Brenda's boss, Dr. Spalding, remember, Brenda worked at a family practice. This is Brenda's boss, Dr. Spalding, who is a boss-ass motherfucking boss. He goes on live television claiming he has a feeling Brenda may have been murdered, and he was unapologetically convinced that the murderer was Melvin. So, when investigators couldn't budge the case any further, Dr. Spalding took matters into his own hands. He sent Melvin an anonymous letter threatening to have him killed unless Brenda's body was discovered in less than 2 weeks of him receiving the letter. So Melvin gives the letter to police, who immediately know that Dr. Spalding was the one who wrote it, because weeks before, Dr. Spalding, God bless his heart, had told police that if they didn't do shit, that he was gonna threaten Melvin.
Well,
this was her boss. Like, what a fucking dope ass boss.
I'm saying. Oh, that's so nice.
I know. So they went to court. You got to remember this part because this is going to come back up. So they go to court. So Melvin testified, and Dr. Spalding confessed to writing the letter and was charged with making a terroristic threat and was fined $300. But our guy Melvin, he seemed to love the publicity.
He's weird.
So in October of 1989, Melvin went against his lawyer's wishes and volunteered to testify and tell his side of the story, not with Dr. Spalding, between him, because he was a suspect in Brenda's disappearance. He went against his lawyer's wishes and volunteered to testify to tell his side of the story before a grand jury, which is a risky fucking move even for the innocent.
Right, because you don't know what the jury's going to take of that.
But all he knew was that it would grow him more publicity. So at the hearing, he continued his stance that he had no wrongdoing in the disappearance of Brenda. And when they parted that night, it was on good terms. However, he did confess that he was sexually active with his ex-girlfriend, Mary Ann Shore, just 1 month after Brenda went missing. So Mary Ann Shore, ring, 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 bitch, knock, knock, you're being subpoenaed. So she was brought before the grand jury. So when she was questioned what Brenda Schaefer looked like, Mary Ann told the grand jury that she had only seen her once and described what she looked like. So then they asked her a couple more questions, and then they looped it back around in their sneaky ways, and she was asked the same fucking question several minutes later, what she looked like, and she slipped up and she said, well, the last time I saw her, she looked like... And then the guy was all like, last time? Excuse me, bitch, you told us you had only seen her once in your life. She was visibly shaken, started stuttering, turned pale, didn't know what to say, and the bitch fled the room.
She pulled a Carly Beth.
That's a Goosebumps reference. Carly Beth, the fucking queen of stuttering. So, January 9th, 1990, Mary Ann Shore and her lawyer went to the attorney's office. Her lawyer asked what they could do for them if Brenda just so happened to know where the body was. Okay? So they said that they could lower her charge from murder to tampering with evidence. In exchange, she would have to reveal exactly what happened to Brenda and where her body is located. So she claimed the murder was carefully planned a month before Brenda's disappearance. Melvin and Marianne had dug a deep grave behind Marianne's house.
That's fucked up.
When they were ready, Melvin brought black plastic garbage bags, packing tape, clothesline rope, and a camera, film, and a bottle of chloroform. My man loves that cocktail.
Right.
On Saturday, September 24th, 1988, Melvin returned to Marianne's house with Brenda. He had told Brenda that he wanted to make a quick stop at his friend's house to show that friend the jewelry he had given Brenda. When they stepped into the house, Marianne locked the door behind them as she was instructed. This is a trigger warning. This next part of the case involves physical abuse and rape. Just a trigger warning. Okay. So Melvin grabbed Brenda and tied her to a glass-topped wooden coffee table and raped her while beating her with a paddle. He ordered Marianne to take photographs of the brutal acts. After taking the photographs, Marianne left the room, unable to watch as Melvin held chloroform to his fiance's face until she stopped breathing. He used a rope to tie her up, then folded her petite body into a garbage bag. Melvin ordered Marianne to help him carry the bag into the woods where the pre-dug grave awaited. Now, with Marianne Shore's confession, investigators needed to catch Melvin speaking about the situation. So Marianne agreed to be wired and let the police listen in. She was coached by the FBI on how to pry information out of him without actually saying things that could, if they played this tape, not trigger him, but like if they played this tape in court, there's certain things that they can say that, the jury would be like, well, she basically pried it out of him like this. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know,
like
all
a
of
natural conversation.
Yeah. So FBI taught her how to get the information out of him. She meets with Melvin in a parking lot of an ice cream place, and they're sitting in her car. For about 13 minutes, she tried to get him to talk. She lied and told him that the property behind her house was going to be developed, and she was afraid that they were going to dig up Brenda's body. He says, quote, "Will you let me handle it? Will you let me handle it? They won't do nothing, okay? Nothing." Marianne then tells him that the police were pressuring her to take another lie detector test, and he fucking snaps. You can actually listen to this online. His true colors show, and basically he told her that she needs to grow a backbone and the police are not going to do anything but play mind tricks with her. He then said, quote, "It's not shallow, that place we dug. It's not shallow. Don't let it get you rattled," end quote.
Is that enough?
But not once did he say the word body, grave, nor did he speak Brenda's name or mention anything Marianne had told police. But the police were pretty fucking confident that they had what they needed to take him down. So the next morning, Melvin Ignato was arrested for the murder of Brenda Schaefer. That day, the body of Brenda was found exactly where Marianne had told them it would be. Authorities searched Melvin's home and found a paddle and camera with no film in it. Motive, opportunity, a body, and a fucking eyewitness. Prosecutors had pretty much everything they needed to get Melvin to face the death penalty and serve justice for Brenda. So December 1991, 3 years after the murder, the court case begins. So the jury is shown evidence, crime scene photographs, and they are played the secret recording conversation between Marianne and Melvin at the ice cream shop parking lot. And then Marianne took the stand. So she was dressed less than professional for a court hearing, wearing a skirt, which is okay. She had dyed her hair bleach blonde, and she told the jury what happened that night. But Melvin's sneaky ass, conniving little fucking lawyer was quick to flip the script, discussing that Marianne's posture, her attitude, her tone, her skirt, and her new hair all outlined an arrow pointing to a woman capable of murder herself.
Oh my God.
Marianne Shore, a jealous ex-girlfriend who wanted Brenda dead because if she couldn't have Melvin Ignato, nobody could.
Oh my God, no. No.
So the defense told the jury that there were no fingerprints nor semen found on Brenda's body. Then the prosecutors snapped back. They said, rebuttal, bitch, rebuttal, rebuttal. They said that type of evidence would rarely be found on a body that had been buried for 15 fucking months. So the defense later argued that, I think it was more than 15 months. I don't know where I got that 15. Anyway, because it was, okay, the 15 months after she went missing that they found her body, and now it's 3 years later because it's 1991 when the court starts.
Couldn't they just dig up?
I'm literally just talking to myself there, sorry. What?
Couldn't they just dig up her body?
They did. They found her body. Are you saying exhume it?
Yeah.
No. So no. They didn't need to exhume it because they dug up her body that they found where Marianne said it was, but there was no fingerprints on it. There was no semen because her body had decayed. They couldn't find her for 15 months.
God damn it.
And this was also in 89.
Oh, so this stuff wasn't that great.
Yeah. So the defense later argued that the recorded conversation played in court was open to interpretation, which was kind of what they were afraid of. So pointing out that Brenda's name was never spoken and some parts are inaudible, even though Melvin states on the tape, it's not shallow. That place we dug, it's not shallow. Don't let it get you rattled. End quote. After 6 hours of deliberating, the jury of 8 men and 4 women returned with a verdict. They found Melvin Ignato not guilty on all 7 accounts.
Wow.
So the public could not believe that the jury found him not guilty. The judge even wrote a letter to Tom Schaefer, which was Brenda's brother, stating, whether in this life or another, justice will be done. Really quick, going to point out, the judge had written the letter to Tom and not her parents because unfortunately, both of her parents had passed away before any of this went to court, before they knew anything that had happened.
Double wow.
So on December 23rd, 1991, Melvin Ignato was a free man and Marianne Shore was sentenced to 5 years in prison for tampering with evidence. But investigators were not ready to let go. They thought that if photographs had really been taken at the crime, like Marianne had told them there were, that Melvin was not the type of person to get rid of them. He would have held on to that shit like a fucking trophy. But his house that he was living in had been sold while he was in jail. Just going to say he was in jail for 2 years before 1991 when he went to court. So police went to the new residents who were living in his old home that got sold while he was in jail. And the people who had lived there knew that the home had been searched twice already, so they denied a search. And then, in October 1992, a man was repairing a heating duct in the home when they found bags of jewelry and film rolls in the air duct.
Ooh.
He told the family, who immediately phoned the police, who were like, shit, we should have let y'all search the house.
Do what you do.
So they developed the film and found more than 100 photographs, which had all been taken by Mary Ann. Each depicted Melvin Ignato torturing and raping Brenda Schaefer, who was tied to the glass-top wooden coffee table.
Just like she said.
But due to the double jeopardy law and the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, Melvin could not be tried again after already being acquitted for the murder of Brenda Schaefer. The only thing officials could do and bring Melvin back to court was a perjury charge for lying to the FBI. Remember Dr. Spaulding, his case? This guy, in a way, fucking kind of saved the day because back when they did his case, Melvin had lied to the FBI. So they're really just like pulling shit. They're just like, what can we get him on? This man got away with murder because the fucking system is flawed.
Right. We all knew that.
So they bring him back with the perjury charge. It's a maximum penalty of 10 years. So prosecutors offered him a deal. They said 8 years behind bars in exchange for a public confession. On October 2nd, 1992, Melvin Ignato confessed, quote, on September 24th, 1988, I did take Brenda Schaefer over to Marianne Shore's house, and I did physically and sexually abuse her. And
nasty bitch.
And I did murder her. She died from having inhaled chloroform. And then he turns to the family, looks them in the fucking eyes, and says, quote, "But she died peacefully," end quote. This motherfucker, you can see this picture of him as they walk him out of the courthouse.
He looks like a crazy person.
This motherfucker is smiling. It, like, my knuckles, I didn't even have to crack my knuckles, but when I saw the picture, all my knuckles were like, let me see if I got a juicy one.
Arthur.
Yes, legit Arthur hand. Anyway, so the previous 2 years before the court case, where he served time in prison, they were grandfathered in, so he only had 6 years left to serve, but the time was shortened due to good behavior.
What?
In February 1998, just 5 years, he stayed in jail. Melvin Ignato had gotten away with murder and was released. He was then sentenced to another 9 years for a different perjury charge,
He's fucking crazy.
And was released from prison a second time, December 2006.
I'm throwing my laptop.
He returned to Louisville, living in a home less than 4 miles away from the house where the body was found.
Of course.
Now I know what you're thinking. Where's the karma?
It didn't come yet. I'm waiting for you to tell me.
So, in September of 2008, exactly 20 years after he bound Brenda Schaefer to a coffee table, raped and murdered her, Melvin Ignato was found dead inside his home. He had fallen onto a glass-top coffee table.
Look at that.
Cut his arm badly, and hit his head. Evidence suggests he helplessly crawled around his apartment, leaving a trail of blood before dying of blood loss, cold and alone on his floor. Adios, motherfucker.
I'm saying.
And that is the story of Melvin Ignato. What do you think?
Wow.
Is that not karma served up?
It was karma served up, but it really takes a look at how fucked the system is.
The system is fucked.
It's flawed as shit. But good for him on that coffee table.
A glass top coffee table? Nuts.
I can't believe he would do that to his fiance.
He was
really is.
fucking nut. Fucking loony.
If you will.
Fucking murderer.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and it really pisses me off that because Marianne happened to be like wearing, I mean, she looked like she dressed up a little bit. She didn't look like she should have been in court per se. But like she was like wearing she wasn't wearing like a short ass skirt. Right. She was wearing like a longer skirt, but they were pointing her out. They were just like, look at that woman. How dare she show.
She dyed her hair.
Oh, her ankles. Oh, Christ. Her ankles. Frick out of here.
I'm saying. Also, it's just crazy that he got away with all of that.
He got away with murder. But I mean, think about it. So he murdered her. He was 50 years old in the late 80s. He murdered her months after he murdered her, about 5 months. He was put into jail for 2 years. So he served time for 2 years. They take him out. He goes to court. He walks for a minute. Then they bring him back for the perjury charge. He goes to prison for 5 years. He comes out for, what year would that be now? For like a little bit, for maybe like 2 years max. And then he goes back into jail for 9 years. And then he walks in 2006. So he pretty much is in his 70s. So 2006, he's out at the end of 2006. So then September of 2008 is when he was found dead. So he really, I mean, fuck.
Milked that shit.
Well, what I'm getting at is he did spend time in prison. It doesn't seem like a lot of time because it's not a fucking lot of time. But, you know, in this case where clearly the fucking,
he got served regardless.
Yeah, he got his shit served. You know, and I just think it's kind of crazy that the judge in that case wrote to Brenda's brother and was like, what did he say? Let me look it up. Hold on. The judge says, whether in this life or another, justice will be done. He knew.
Right.
Karma came right the frick back.
Or he went into the house and pushed him into the coffee table.
I don't think so.
It's not that, but that's funny.
Yeah, but he couldn't reach the phone because the phone was up on the wall and he was an old ass man crawling around with blood all over the fucking place.
See, that's
because he's a freaking asshole. I was trying to think of times when like karma has served me. We were playing life the other day. No, we were playing the Addams Family
The Addams
board
Family
game.
That game really irks me.
Yeah, but you said something, and immediately after, I was like, "Ooh, karma! It worked real quick on you because you kept coming at me."
Right.
And
I
I
think it was
won,
the
'cause
food cart.
It's
I hate
not a
when
food cart; it's a food coin.
They say cart in the thing.
They don't say cart. Somebody wrote it on the top of the box.
So that's what we call it.
No, that's not what we call it. That's what you call it. It's a coin.
Food cart.
Jesus fucking Christ. Do you have a fun fact?
I do.
Do you want me to read my fun fact while you looking?
Sure. I just have to, it's in a text thread.
Okay. So my fun fact is that Cookie Monster has a real name. It's Sid. You don't like that his name is Sid?
No. I wish there was something better. Like Paul.
Aw.
So, there is rumors going around / true that,
Yes, they're true. All 9 inches. It's real. I'm telling you.
cocaine is being laced with a deworming chemical and it's rotting people's faces. So, like, don't do cocaine, y'all. You're welcome.
Whoa, what was that? I think that was God texting you. He said, thumbs up emoji, Sarah. You're going to heaven.
Sure did. I got that one-way ticket.
Hey, karma is served, bitch. So, are you ready for my tweet of the week? I have to let you know. Well, so our tweets of the week, they don't have to be from this week, correct? Because mine's from 2013, and I really could not pass
fine.
this one up. This is from your girl, Cher.
Ooh.
She says on the 7th of March, 2013, iPad freezing up. Maybe it's just overwhelmed because it just realized a fabulous diva was touching it. Can't really blame it. Quote, snap out of it. Fuck. Cher's tweets crack me up.
Is she okay?
But she was probably sitting there with a fucking Klonopin and fucking glass of wine.
Having it.
Literally.
I feel like my tweet of the weeks are always like quotes that are like positive. Ew.
I flicked my scab. It's on your shoulder. Can I have it back?
Are you serious?
All right. Hit us with some inspo.
All right. So this tweet is from @hello my name's
Oh, fuck my tweet. Oh, God.
It says celebrate your accomplishments, even the small ones.
Aww. Yay. That's me.
That's you, boo.
That's me. Speaking of me, follow us on social media at Esoteric Oddities, pretty much across the board, except for Twitter. It's Esoteric Oddities, or Oddity, just one, ODDITIE. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. Your bonus episode is coming, and really, 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 really quick. We just want to say May, as we're recording this, is a fucking crazy month for us.
It's crazy as shit. Also, happy Beltane.
Yes, but it's only today. Like,
Right.
what, by the time this comes out, it's going to be past.
It's okay.
May is a really, really busy month for both of us. She's going away. I'm working like crazy. I'm not going to be at my house. I'm going to be staying at my parents' house because they're going away. I have my mom's birthday tomorrow, Jason's birthday, my dad's birthday, Mother's Day.
It's a lot.
It's a
May
lot.
Is a
And then
crazy thing. It's a crazy month.
I'm going to be hungover from Cinco de Mayo.
I'm not ready for that.
Okay, so basically what we're trying to say is we are really going to try our best
To put episodes out.
Yes, we don't pre-record like weeks ahead. We do it week by week. We put on our pants one leg at a time with crotchless panties.
Sometimes
just like
I jump
everyone
in
else. So bear with us to stay, up to date. Just follow us on on
and
the
we'll post
social
updates on there.
Yes, and thank you guys for
For
being
listening.
supportive. Because before the last time we took a break, which was the last week we didn't post, I don't think we missed a week in months. Probably around Thanksgiving, maybe before Thanksgiving, right? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while, so like we needed a minute. But this week we're not taking time off. We're like
just
busy,
really busy. Yeah, and it's hard to like do good research.
Yeah.
And like
Right.
travel and stuff like that.
So we'll keep you
Posted.
posted like a note, bitch.
It was really aggressive.
I know, you guys. Thank you again for supporting. Thank you for listening. If you did not rate us, please give us a rating. 5 stars? ? That would be great. Don't forget to shave your twat, or don't. Bye.
Bye.